Welcome. I'm Lee Cowan, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we feature every weekend on Sunday morning. For starters, we'll head out on a one-of-a-kind road trip. In a new documentary called Will and Harper, comedy legend Will Ferrell set off across the country with his best friend and former Saturday Night Live writer, Harper Steele. Steele, who came out as a trans woman 2 years ago, admits that she was a little bit afraid of how she might be received in small-town America, but, as she told Tracy Smith, having Ferrell by her side made all the difference.
I'm driving across the country with Will Ferrell. That's an amazing force field.
A force field.
Yeah, I have it's like...
Star power.
Yeah.
A-list.
A-list.
Star power.
I would have...
A-list.
The most
Armor.
famous
Forbes.
movie star in the world.
I would say armor. Armor.
Armor.
Let's drop the other stuff. This will be a cut, by the way. We're going to cut.
Later in the show, Will Ferrell on helping his friend Harper come into her own.
What's it like watching Harper? She is so open and so graceful in that she gives people grace in speaking with them.
Absolutely.
What's it like sitting next to her and seeing that up close?
It's amazing. It's wonderful. I'm so proud of her because that is one of the wonderful changes I've seen as I've gotten to know Harper. She's much more forthcoming. She's much more willing to engage. She's just open in every possible aspect of her personality in some way, and that's the part of where I'm literally with a new person.
Then from traveling the land to soaring the sky, David Pogue looks into new technology that could save millions of birds this migration season.
We can start by turning off non-essential lights during migration periods, which also saves energy and money.
We see that birds start to return to normal patterns of behavior as soon as the lights turn off, literally within seconds.
In Texas, a public awareness campaign has produced a dramatic effect. Look at these before and after shots of Dallas, Houston, and Fort Worth. Turning off the lights can cut down bird strikes by 60%.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Will Ferrell met his best friend Harper Steele some 30 years ago when they were hired the very same week at SNL, and they've had each other's backs ever since. In a new documentary, Ferrell joined Steele, who came out as a trans woman 2 years ago, on an epic road trip from New York to California, and they took Tracy Smith along for the ride.
You think you know somebody. Comedy legend Will Ferrell and former Saturday Night Live head writer Harper Steele are best friends. They've always shared everything.
Mainly, I'm hoping I don't lose anyone I care about.
But 2 years ago, Steele wrote a letter to her closest family and friends saying she'd come out as a trans woman.
That letter was really hard to send. I just kept rewriting it over and over again and trying to say what I wanted to say.
It was just, whoa.
Harper had always liked driving across the country alone, but was unsure of how it would be as a woman. So Will suggested they drive from upstate New York to California and see what happened.
Here's a question. Do you think you're a worse driver as a female driver?
That's the dumbest. That is so... No, that is so...
It's all in the new documentary, Will and Harper.
Take one of me kind of sexy.
Oh, yeah.
Their friendship began in the mid-90s when they were hired the very same week at Saturday Night Live.
Look, the memo said we relaxed the office dress code to allow showings of patriotism. So, this coffee's really good.
Harper helped create some of Will's most memorable characters.
Do you have a favorite sketch that the two of you worked on SNL?
I love my Robert Goulet sketches that I did with Will.
Robert Goulet here. Your phone is ringing. La-dee-da-do, da-dee-da-do-do.
Of course, he went on to bigger things.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Really?
People know me.
But when he first arrived at SNL, Will Ferrell was anything but a superstar.
I'm gonna give you the beating of a lifetime in front of these people. You happy now? Oh, here's a gem. Dinkle donkle, someone's calling you. Goulet.
You've said that Harper kind of helped you along in the beginning at SNL, that people weren't sure what to make of you?
People were kind of saying, oh yeah, I met that guy. He seems nice, he doesn't seem that funny. I don't know what he's gonna do on the show. And it's true. And it was Harper who kind of reported back to some of the writers like, oh no, don't sleep on him. He's pretty funny. That guy's funny. So it was kind of like a guardian angel in a way, someone who like was looking out for me when I didn't realize it was happening.
So we're heading to Meeker, Oklahoma. This is in the category of places you would have visited and not thought twice about. What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I'm nervous and anxious. Like, I spent my life going to little towns like this, stopping in bars, drinking, meeting people. I just don't know if I can anymore.
And it seems that Will Ferrell became kind of a guardian angel himself when the two of them hit the road last year.
I love this country so much, I just don't know if it loves me back right now.
What were you expecting this time around?
I definitely walked into that experience a little afraid. There was times when I wasn't with Will. So that's the part that needs to always be explained. I'm driving across the country with Will Ferrell. That's an amazing force field.
A force field.
Yeah, I have it's like...
Star power.
Yeah.
A-list.
A-list.
Star power.
I would have...
A-list.
The most
Armor.
famous
Forbes.
movie star in the world.
I would say armor. Armor.
Armor.
Let's drop the other stuff. This will be a cut, by the way. We're going to cut right.
We're
gonna say
we're
armor
gonna
or
cut
force
this.
field.
This is gold. No, I'm looking, yeah.
Anyway, everyone wants to talk to Will. They all love him. Whatever your politics are, you love Will. You either loved Elf or, I don't know any of the movies. You recognize this guy? This is the Hollywood movie star.
No.
You
You don't reckon? Okay. That's okay. Roll up the window.
The trip itself was fun and funny.
If you named that beer, what would the name of the beer be?
There's no question.
Yeah.
Cornelius Danderhoff.
Your beer's called Cornelius Danderhoff?
17 days of laughter and tears and beer.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey.
come on in.
Okay.
But maybe inevitably,
Is this real, Phil? Yes.
it was also punctuated with the reality of what it means to face the world as a trans person.
This is my friend Harper.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you, bro.
Hey, not a bro, though. It's a she, but that's okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
That's all right.
You can try it again.
Yeah.
I mean, trans people, for sure, have to be careful. There's people out there that are filled with hate. And not necessarily it's going to be aimed at me. It's going to be aimed at people who don't have the kind of advantages I have. And so I'm not advocating everyone run out in the middle of the country and run around, because I swear to God, we have some people out there that are not good people. Oklahoma, thank you. Oh, thank you.
But what she found on the road was more good than bad.
But I live in New York now.
Okay, you're on the East Coast.
I'm on the East Coast, yeah.
What did you learn about each other?
Honestly, Will is a sweet human being. I mean, we were friends. We were friends before. I mean, I don't know what more to say really there than that.
I'm sure you've been asked this before, but what have you learned about yourself on this journey?
I'm a much better driver than Harper. Like, that's not even opinion, that's fact, that's science.
Wake up.
When the three of us went for a ride, Harper took the wheel, and her driving is, as she puts it, creative.
Look at this adventurous driving. See what I'm talking about? Yep. Just cut across 5 lanes of traffic there.
That's New York, buddy.
Golly.
That's how we do it in the city.
And maybe the film will help attitudes about trans people turn a corner. The documentary got 2 standing ovations at the Sundance Film Festival.
What was it like to have that reaction, the 2 standing ovations?
Well, it felt great. I mean,
People are just ready for acts of civility. They just want to see people being nice to each other. And I think it was yes, it's about her experience. It's about the trans experience.
there was a lot of people being nice to us all across the country.
All across the country. And I think people just loved seeing that we can all still hang out with each other.
After the break, an exclusive excerpt from Tracy Smith's chat with Will Ferrell and Harper Steele. Something you can only see right here on Here Comes the Sun. Stay with us.
This sort of turn happens, and he's seeing me the way I really would like to be seen.
As promised, here's more from Tracy Smith's interview with Will Ferrell and Harper Steele.
You talk in the film about how you're shy, and you've talked in interviews about how you were a shy kid.
Yeah.
And yet when we see you, it seems like you have no inhibitions. Is that shy kid still inside of you?
I think, I think reserved. Yeah, I think I still, definitely. I think, in my private life, you'd probably be surprised at how quiet I can get at times. But I think we're all that way, right? We all have to recharge our batteries. I have been accused of not being that funny in person. When people meet me.
How do you take that?
No way, Will, what's up? Hi, how are you? That's it? Yeah. You're so normal, which is code for you're so boring. But I've just, if I'm feeling boring one day, I'm boring. If I'm feeling funny and outgoing, I'm funny. So I don't judge myself that's just the way it is.
What's it like watching Harper? She is so open and so graceful in that she gives people grace in speaking with them.
Absolutely.
What's it like sitting next to her and seeing that up close?
It's amazing. It's wonderful. I'm so proud of her because that is one of the wonderful changes I've seen as I've gotten to know Harper. She's much more forthcoming. She's much more willing to engage. She's just open in every possible aspect of her personality in some way, and that's the part of where I'm literally with a new person, and I love watching her interact. I love, but you're right, she's so articulate, and I think in a weird way, she obviously laments on one hand that it took so long for her to come out. On the other hand, she also just is like, this is when it was the right time, but because of all that life experience she has, I think that's where that grace comes from, and she's willing to talk to anyone and about anything, but that was not my old friend on so many ways, and so it's really fun to see.
There was something about driving that allowed you to kind of talk about anything, maybe even be a little more open than you would be if you're sitting staring at each other face to face?
Well, you have 6 to 8 hours to fill every day stuck in that car, so you better start talking.
He stops being funny after about 10 minutes. And then
that's it. That's as much
that's what
funny
I get.
juice as I have.
That's what I get.
In the old noggin up here.
I just, the reason why I was like on board with you on this concept is my favorite sketches, not all of my favorite sketches that I wrote when I was at SNL, but a lot of my favorite sketches are driving sketches. It immediately locks you into a space where weird conversations can happen. Mm-hmm. Cars are great that way.
Harper, you said that in a sense, Will transition too?
That sounds really smart.
Yeah.
Is there a question?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're close to a friend who transitions, you generally go through a transition yourself, sort of learning to understand what that means for not just for them, but for yourself. Like, how are you going to interact with this person? And I'm finding that left and right with all my old friends, how they transition. What makes me so proud of Will is I can almost point to the moment in the documentary where the sort of turn happens, and he's seeing me the way I really would like to be seen. And I just have a lot of friends who aren't there yet.
The Washington Post said it feels like it should be shown in schools and toured across the country as a vital, life-saving tool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not just this project. There's a lot of trans projects that should be shown in schools and in you know, as tools to educate and to save lives, if that's how you want to say it. But yeah, there's a lot of trans people out there doing creative work, and the more support we can give to all of them, the better.
Up next, for the birds. Every year, a staggering number of birds are killed, believe it or not, by flying into windows. As many as 1 billion. That's about 30 birds every second. David Pogue tracked down some folks who have found some creative solutions to a problem that affects all of us.
In February 2023, a Eurasian eagle owl named Flacco escaped from the Central Park Zoo. For a year, he lived among the skyscrapers and became something of a Manhattan mascot.
You would see him kind of going from window to window looking in at people's apartments.
But then, earlier this year,
well, a sad day for New Yorkers and bird lovers across the country.
He crashed into a building and died.
Flacco the owl.
As owls go, Flacco was 1 in a million. But as collisions go,
we're talking about hundreds of millions, up to 1 billion birds every year annually, and that's just in the US. So this is a huge, huge problem. Red-tailed hawk.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Where's
so
the hawk?
Red-tail is coming in this last building.
Cornell ornithologist Andrew Farnsworth has done the math.
That's like 30 birds a second, 30% of the population over 50 years.
Is there a downstream ripple effect from that?
Yeah, they have ecosystem functions and services that they provide, including pest control, pollination, dispersal of seeds. As you lose birds, there definitely are ecosystem structure ramifications.
How are these birds so clueless as to fly into glass?
Birds do not perceive it as solid. They're thinking, oh, there's something that's either I can fly through or a reflection of vegetation or something that they're seeing in it that they're perceiving as not solid. So they fly into it often at full speed, maybe 15, 20, 35 miles an hour.
Every year, billions of birds migrate. They navigate by the stars.
So light pollution, because birds are mostly migrating at night, light is an incredibly powerful stimulus. It attracts birds, it disorients them.
And we're not just talking about skyscrapers. Last fall, at McCormick Place, a low-slung convention center in Chicago, over 1,000 birds died in a single night.
I think it's devastating because there's really not necessarily any reason for it at this point. We know what to do.
We do know what to do. We can start by turning off non-essential lights during migration periods, which also saves energy and money.
We see that birds start to return to normal patterns of behavior as soon as the lights turn off, literally within seconds.
In Texas, a public awareness campaign has produced a dramatic effect. Look at these before and after shots of Dallas, Houston, and Fort Worth. Turning off the lights can cut down bird strikes by 60%. As for the rest, it's all about making the invisible visible.
Putting special kinds of decals on the outsides of your windows, spaced 1 or 2 inches apart, just as an example.
Isn't that interrupting our enjoyment of the big vista?
Eventually, as you get used to those things, they disappear into the background.
But in newer buildings, like this apartment building going up in Queens, you don't need to sacrifice any view at all.
This is bird safe glass right here, and I don't see a thing.
No, but on the outside,
On the outside,
it's different. Oh, I see patterns.
That's right. The UV pattern is here, and you can see it when you walk pretty close, but when you step back, you don't see it at all. Looks great.
That's ingenious. The building was designed by FX Collaborative Architects, for whom Dan Piselli is the sustainability director. In 2014, his firm also fixed the biggest bird killer in New York City, the Javits Convention Center, 6 blocks of pure glass.
We used a material called frit on the glass, which is just a bunch of dots that are kind of baked on. And the collisions there were reduced by more than 90%.
In 2019, New York City passed an ordinance requiring all new buildings to be built with bird-friendly glass. San Francisco, Toronto, and Washington, D.C. have all passed similar legislation. And McCormick Place in Chicago? They've now installed those safety dot stickers.
Is it conceivably possible that 50 years from now, Flacco free in New York City might still be flying around?
I like to think so. I think that we're on the right track in terms of the laws and that people are starting to understand. I hope so.
I'm Lee Cowan. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right here next time on Here Comes the Sun.